Hello everyone. You are joining with Advocata Institute, and this is Economics with Dr. Sarath Rajapathirana. And under this series, we are discussing the fantastic, fabulous work done by Economist in the 21st century. And today we are going to discuss and recollect the memory of Professor Max Corden. And Dr. Rajapathirana and Max Corden were very good friends for decades. Dr. Rajapathirana, today we are going to discuss about the remarkable work and the memory of your good friend, Professor Max Corden. Just first tell us, how did you meet him and to which year this goes back to?
Yeah, yes, I will. I actually I knew him before I met him, because actually we had a connection with the Reserve Bank of Australia,
Right.
and I was at the central bank. Then they were very kind and they shared their papers, and the paper that he had written while advising the Reserve Bank, I got a copy. The university, the central bank library got a copy.
Right.
And I was reading him before I met him, and I
Right.
realized how easy to understand things. He makes the most complicated thing the easiest thing to understand. So much so I jokingly said, we believe when you go to his class, he gets into our brain surreptitiously and changes it. We don't realize it is done. So
You feel like you knew it after you listened
after
to
you
him.
listen to him,
That's such
you say,
a
oh, I knew this. Not true, but he is able to put it into your brain,
the way that you can think.
Think about it. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And he was born in Germany, is it?
Yeah, he was born in Germany, and he came to England when he was, I think, 12 years old.
Right.
At that time, all the Jewish people were trying to get out of, because Hitler was beginning to annihilate them. And so this little boy, there are pictures of him, little boy with a small suitcase and a little covering himself, going in a train and introduced to another man going to London. He said, oh, I looked after you, don't worry. And they look after him, and then he came to London, and his aunt came to pick him up. So he arrives in England without a single word of English. He's a German speaker, little kid, right? 12 years old.
Wow.
And so I think he went to school there for about maybe less than 2 years, and he was very fluent. So much so he was teaching his mother and father English.
Right.
Yeah, so, and then from there he came to Australia. In Australia he became very famous professor who became internationally known as one of the best international trade theories policymaker in the world. I mean, I can say that because I have seen him where it happened. His ability to reduce a very complicated thing into the simplest thing that you can think of. That's why I say that he gets into our brain and changes
And he changes it.
Yeah, and changes, and we don't know it. It's done so subtly.
And I think his work is valuable on today's context more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially the work that he had done on the theory of protection. Since we all speak about a new global order, just take us through, Dr. Rajapathirana, what was the remarkable work that he had done, what was the economic theories and the discoveries that he did for betterment of our people.
I think the first thing is to say that he really carried forward the idea or created the idea of effective rates of protection. So that is finally we think of final goods. But final goods don't really think about allocation of resources as well as effective rates of protection. Effective rates of protection is a simple idea. That is, you take into account the inputs that go into making that product. So therefore, he goes to the fundamental part of it, not just the final goods value, but the input that gone into it. So you can value it. And so all these today's ideas about using inputs so openly, the exports and imports are much larger than final goods exports and imports. So you can really come very close to a good understanding of this part of economics due to his bringing forward the idea of effective rate of protection. There's a little story there.
Okay.
So he was playing with himself and finding out what is the best way to represent it.
Right.
And he never uses any mathematics actually. He doesn't need to. He can figure this out all in his brain, and then people do mathematics to show that was correct.
Right.
So this was such a situation. He talked to a friend of his and said, "This is what I'm saying." He said, "Oh, Max, wait, can you have a pencil and paper?" "Yeah, okay, right. Y is equal to so much thing, X and so much," and taking the inputs into account and said, "This is the formula."
Right.
That's the value added, the dividing the value added by the nominal rate of protection. So that really tells you how to, this becomes very important to allocate resources, particularly now because of value chains.
Correct.
Value chains would not have come about if not for effective rates of protection.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to clarify and just to understand, so the concept of effective rate of protectionism was coined.
Protection. Yeah.
Effective rate of protection was coined and introduced by Professor Max Corden.
Yeah. And it has been such an important
part in the entire
yeah,
trade
yeah,
economics
yeah,
side.
Right. Yeah. So there are two other things that he has done.
Right.
First of all, he clarified. He didn't create it, but clarified with one of his students what is called Dutch disease.
Right.
But the idea of a Dutch disease was that Holland got a very boost in its income because of the way they were selling and creating flowers and selling it. And there was also they discovered material that can be used for build goods and services.
Right.
So they were able to suddenly jump into this thing, and it is because of it is the Dutch who saw this, and then they adapted it and became a Dutch disease because it really changed the ways that people are looking at it, that it became more difficult to handle, and that's called a disease. The Indonesians usually call sakit Belanda. I mean Dutch disease. Yeah.
Right.
Sakit is Indonesian for disease.
Right.
So okay, Dutch disease. So Max explained that very well to people because people didn't understand. I'll give a very simple example.
Mm-hmm.
Supposing suddenly we find some from the earth that will become more valuable than gold. Then it's very bad for the economy because the prices all get disarranged, and so it could become a disease, so that all other goods and services lose their relative value. So therefore, it's difficult to manage such a situation. So it is called Dutch disease, and he explained it with one of his students very clearly what it was. Yeah.
Right.
We also had that Dutch disease. People, when we started Mahavali, we created a new source of income, and then it prevented our trade policies working better because we put all the effort into the Mahavali
project,
neglecting. I think Mahavali should have been made. There's no question about it. But we do it at the same time. That's why we could not really keep up with the reforms that we had intended to.
And that was also mainly on the non-tradable side, isn't it?
It's on the non-tradable side, where the government is non-tradable, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how is Max as a person? You mentioned how good he is as a teacher. He basically gets into your brain and changes you without you realizing that someone is changing you.
Yeah.
How is he as a person? How is he as a consultant or like as an advisor for various governments, for various international institutions?
Yeah. Actually, I depended a lot on him when I was in the World Development Report. I said, Max, you have to help me on this. Yeah, tell me what. Yeah, okay. So we go for lunch, and we will have a discussion, and I'll be fully convinced that is the correct one because his ability to bring the most difficult idea to a very simple thing. He said, no, it is not such a complicated story. And once he and three of us were arguing, he left me. He said, he will finish his argument for me. He left. I said, I can't finish the argument because I am not Max Corden. He said, no, he said, it's so clear, even I could do it.
Right.
And a very, very, very smart, very humble man. If you meet him on street, you don't know who this guy is.
Right.
Small man, he passed away about...
Yeah, I think he passed away in 2023.
Yeah. He was 96 years old.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he also, after joining the National University in Australia,
Yeah.
I think he studied at, before that he studied in London School of Economics and, how do you pronounce that, Oxford College?
Nuffield College.
Nuffield College.
Yeah.
Oxford.
But actually he went and studied in very famous another economist.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was recruited to Nuffield College. All the good economists in there were in Nuffield College. And he was also a very successful teacher there.
Right.
Yeah, people who studied international trade really understood it very well after he championed it and he explained it in the classroom. No mathematics, just simple. He's a man who always draws pictures.
Right.
Yeah, and very clear, fantastic clarity. Anybody can, listen to it, and he's very tolerant. Many times people ask questions, sometimes if we understood that they don't understand, no, please go ahead, ask me your question. And he will make some jokes in the bargain. And so, he was a very fine human being also.
And also, I think in his career, he also lectured at Johns Hopkins University and also the School of Advanced International Studies as a distinguished professor for international economics.
Yeah, this was a great benefit to me.
Okay.
because that university is very close to where I am.
Right.
In World Bank. So I could call him and say, Max, I have this. He said, okay, come over, we can chat about it. And no, he's open to anybody who wants help. He will do it.
For our audience who are young researchers, who are, academics who basically watch to get some of those theories or concepts clarified, what do you recommend? A lot of material is already available online about Max Corden, but is there anything that you recommend with not only by reading his books, you had a very direct relationship or an association with him, so you understand his way of thinking better. So if you reflect on his readings, books, anything that you would like to recommend?
Yeah, he says start from the very basics. Start from the very basics and build up like building a house, putting the parts together, and then you'll see that there's a pattern emerging. Now, he never used mathematics, as I told you. He didn't need to use mathematics. His brain worked it out very well, and then he'll explain it in a way that is very clear. So my first thing would be to read his 2 or 3 books. Very easy to understand, very, very simple ideas are these things. And then he will say in a book or a paper, he would say, today we are going to discuss this and explore that idea with you till you realize that I understood it. That's why I gave the argument of coming and entering your brain and changing it so that you can understand those concepts other people have been trying to explain. You can explain it within very short time. And also he is highly respected by the academia, and some of us were very lucky to have him as a teacher. So Premchand Atukurwala had a tutor.
Oh yes, Max Corden taught him, right? Professor Atukurwala. And I think Professor Atukurwala, Dr. Nandalal is a student of Professor Atukurwala.
Yeah, also that's correct. And Max, there are people who are his students. We have their own group, Max Corden group. There are a lot of people in the world, maybe very good economists, who started with him.
So, Dr. Rajapathirana, What else? Share some of the fond memories with Max. And you mentioned about how you met over lunch and clarified, and how he assisted to your World Bank's the development report.
Yeah.
Um, how what else, if you want to recollect some of the memories with Max, what it would be?
Yeah, it's always very interesting conversation with him, and he will take up the economic things. Have you seen this? This is really happened. Let's talk about it. And most of the time we are walking together, and he likes to walk. Later, when he was not very well, also when I visited him, he was walking faster than me with his thing. I said, "That Max only told it. I can't keep up with you." Yeah. So very very clear thing, unbelievably clear thinker. And also he came to Minnesota with all mathematicians around. We go to his class.
Right.
Because in his class, the mathematics, they are very good mathematicians, no doubt about it, but that they are not able to get to you as well as Max
Max
Corden.
Corden.
So I was one of the speakers when he was finishing his term at the university in Australia, retiring. And I brought my notebook on Max Corden and my notebooks on another very good economist who is a mathematician. I said, I'm going to do this by fundamental research.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I passed it around the table. There were 20 people, table, to read my notes. And then I said, the next one, I send the mathematics. So, of course, immediately people are laughing, saying how easy it is to see what Max had written compared to saying this theorem, that theorem. So I said, I want to make sure that you understand that the benefit that we had, that we can have an intuition from the way that Max presents things compared to try to build a sort of mathematical model to understand it. If you go to his class, you don't need the mathematical model. He said it's very simple, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, that's it. And so I hope that there are many of us who studied with him, we swear by him, we miss him very badly, dearly. Excellent human being also. Always laughing and telling about the stories, and great teacher. Many people say that's the best teacher that we have in an audience. Best teacher.
Thank you, Dr. Rajapathirana. Anything else that you want to recall or to mention, which probably the audience may not know, but you would like to share?
Yeah,
about
one of the things that I told the Australian ambassador also, some of the work that we did on to stabilization. I said we owe to Max Corden because it was his students who put this thing together, and we owe it to Max for to be able to clearly understand what we had to do. So while he is not here, he has influenced us and helped us. I wrote a letter to the ambassador saying we are very grateful for Professor Corden because what we say in our work now are based on what we learned from him.
And also you mentioned that Australia was lucky to have Max rather than Max got lucky to get away to Australia.
He wrote a book and he gave the title. I went for the book launch to Australia actually, Lucky Boy in the Lucky Country. So when I got a chance to speak, I put my hand and said, no, it's a lucky country. First country lucky to have Max Corden.
Thank you, Dr. Rajapathirana. Thank you very much for recollection of your memories with your good friend Max Corden, who in a way, though he is not with us today, his theories and his teachings and his students are basically taking the lead and trying to make this world a better place.
Yeah, better place, yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll see you with another episode next week.